Hello, I'm cold. In fact, it's so cold, and the studio is so well insulated that it's warmer outside in the winter than it is inside right now. And that's what you would call cold. Don't have too many to check out today, at least so far. So if you have any friends that make music and would like to get a second set of ears, let me just go ahead and there we go. This feels right to me. Okay, let's start. First up, we got Deep Sea Dive. I don't know who that is, but we're going to listen. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a sec. I agree with Bleed. I was going to say that low note is maybe a tad too low. I'm going to readjust myself. There we go. Some of those notes were just kind of like, bah, like they were just way too low. So I'd probably put it up an octave. That one right there is just kind of like the brown note almost. That one's a bit low too, so I would probably put those up an octave. I know that it's not going to be as deep, but I think that it will be more audible, which probably is beneficial. I was not expecting that. One sec. I think that the snare sounds a little dull, especially like coming back from this. I don't know what it is, but you can see it in the spectrum. You can see how much brighter this little section. Oh, I think it might be those cymbals. The psh, 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 might be adding some top end, which is nice. I like the brightness that happens here, but when it goes away, the mix all of a sudden feels like damp or like a bit dark. You know, like the top end, the life in the top end seems to drift out of it. And it's making me realize that maybe your snare drum is not bright enough. Maybe your snare drum doesn't really have a whole lot of snap to it, or like sizzle or zazzleness. And like during certain moments, like during this, I think that's kind of being a little bit hidden by all of the brightness in the rest of the track. But I think the snare overall could probably use a bit more, you know, like high frequency component. I also once again agree with Bleed on something, which is, I was going to say that as well. Bleed is just beating me to it every time. The phaser, it is a bit much. I think it's a bit heavy-handed on the phaserness. It's kind of like DJ found the phaser knob, you know? It's not that it's not a cool effect. I mean, it is a cool effect, but I think right here, it's just overwhelmingly phaser-ish. Because to me, all I can focus on when that was happening. You could see me back when we were listening back here. I opened up the imager tool to see the stereo width, and I went to the mid side, and I soloed the sides, and I soloed the mids, and I was listening to the stereo field specifically because of this phaser chorusy kind of thing that's happening, and it feels so artificially wide and almost like a novelty or something like that. It's not necessarily that you couldn't use a phaser in this situation, but I think it's just a bit heavy-handed. It's a bit too obvious, like, hey guys, check out this phaser. All the way up, you know? So maybe just dial that back a bit. I don't know if you've done a lot of work to the arrangement, but I feel like I feel like I had some thoughts on the arrangement last time, and I think the arrangement's moving along quite well now. So I think you did a good job on that. The two takeaways here, I think, are the brightness thing that I was talking about with the snare, and also the phaser is just a bit too, like, check out my phaser. Don't you like it? You know? Oh, and the notes being too low in the sub bass. So I guess there's like three pieces of advice, also known as 3 pieces of Bleed's advice. Yeah, it's good though. It's moving along quite well. I'd play around with those things. All right, let's move on. My fingers are cold, I think is the word. Okay, we're gonna grab this. We're gonna grab Verbatim's track that he just sent and listen to Freeze, Make It Right. So right off the bat, these two sections seem redundant to me. There's not really enough changing. There's some weird stuff happening in the top end. Let me just grab Verbatim's track, and then at the same time, we're going to freeze, make it right. Let's see if this is no, it's 320. You can hear the top end sounds MP3-fied, and you can kind of see it breaking up here in the top end, right? So there's something going on there. Deep inside, think that you know. I think you know that you are wrong. So to fix the arrangement, I think you basically do this. Or if you want to keep it, you're gonna have to give us some value in that second repetition. Deep inside, think that you know. I think you know that you are wrong. Give you one more chance to show that you decide to make things right. Make it right. Make it right. Make it right. Yeah, okay, so this is, I like the, God, I gotta find a new word for vibe. I like the atmosphere, no, I like the aura of this track. I like the synopsis. However, I have some notes. First is the tops. The tops sound fucked up. I don't know what it is. The tops just sound distorted in some weird way. So yeah, you said you're going to replace the tops. I don't mind the feel of the tops. I don't mind what they're doing, but they just sound sonically degraded in the top end for some reason. They sound like an MP3. The next thing is when you bring this in, I like that detuned kind of UK bassline sounding thing, but it doesn't really, this build up doesn't really get me hyped. There's not enough building up, you know, and that main element, it doesn't really evolve as it gets closer to the drop until right here. You like high pass it, but for the most part during this build section, there's not a whole lot building. It's just kind of like, I think the reverb. The reverb is getting louder. That might be the extent of the build up. So, you know, you could start that detuned bass line. You could bring the low pass down further and open it up as it builds up. You could bring in a snare roll. That's very typical in this kind of like New York / UK house type track. You know what I mean? I would do that. But right now, I really like this. That's cool. But the build up leading to it was just kind of meh. So I'd get some more stuff going. And then my next note is during the drop, what's up, Don Vict? Don Vict? Like convict, but first name Don. Anyway, during the drop, your sub bass is not playing the right octave. I would put it down. You can't put it all down an octave, but for the most part, a lot of these notes could be an octave low. Dor Vict. Sorry, my resolution isn't that great. Yeah, so see, there's one note right here. That sounds like it's in the right octave. Every other note in that little passage here is an octave too high. And it's feeling like there's not a lot of depth, like this lacking in the sub bass, and it's because you're just an octave too high for all those other notes. Yeah, it's a $100 million. Now it's free. You just go on my Discord server. And then the next thing is like, you've got this top loop, which I've already commented on. It just kind of goes the entire time. So we have it in the intro. We have it in this. We have it in the build. And guess what? We have it in the drop. That's another thing that's causing your drop to not feel like you've gone anywhere. It doesn't feel like you've accomplished anything or you've conquered anything, right? Because yes, we have a kick drum, and yes, we have kind of deep bass, more so than we did before the drop, but the drums just kind of feel like the same as what they did before. So I would figure out either take those shuffly drums out or whatever you're going to replace them with, take them out for the build and bring them back in, or keep them in the build, but do a more stripped down top drum pattern for when the drop hits, and have it more focused on the groove of the bass line and have it more just eighth note, you know, and then you can bring the shuffly stuff back in later on. But the fact that you kind of have it going the entire time just makes me feel like I'm at the start still. I don't feel like I've traveled any distance to some greater, you know, pasture. Just putting your sub down an octave is going to make this sound so much better though, because like it just doesn't have that. It doesn't have a bass line right now, like a sub bass line. Okay, I'm gonna let it play. Let it play. you've got the good. There's bones here. You've got a skeleton, and it's a good skeleton. It's good to work off of.
Deep inside, think that you know. I think you know that you were wrong. Give you one more chance to show. Let you decide to make things right. Deep inside, think that you know, that you know, that you know, that you know, that you know. Deep inside, think that you know, 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 that you.
Again, here the build up. It's not. I think you gotta maybe set aside some time to work on your build up skills. You submit your tracks by going to that website, which is my Discord server. That's how you submit. Also, what's up with how come it looks like a 192, but it's a 320? What's going on here with this bit rate? Look at the something weird's going on with the MP3-ness. Anyway, that's what I think. I think it's a cool groove, cool track. Put your sub down an octave. Figure out why you got some weird MP3s. It's this stupid spinning sample. Okay, well, I guess you already know what to do then, right? You need to replace it with something that isn't that. Anyway, okay, cool. That's what I think. Good luck. Okay, chord. Let's pick our car. This is my new favorite chord song. You're doing a great job, dude. I wish that bleed would get out of my head. But yeah, the I don't mind the 8-bit snare with the drums. It's the off time one. That one, this one. It's so loud. It's kind of like a little, it seems to me like it's supposed to be a little offbeat kind of ghost accent, but it's like as loud or louder than the main snare. Like, I think it should come down a lot. It's almost the loudest thing in the track. In fact, if I just kind of, whatever, did some stuff in the ozone, but if I turn that off. Yes, Bleed, you're correct with that as well. Wish you would let me get to my ideas. Get out of my head. I don't think it's clashing notes. I think what it is there's like a thumpy percussive hit or something, and it's clashing with the sub bass. Like, great. Whatever that sound is. I'm just going to undo all this before I forget about it and ruin everybody else's songs. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. This there's kind of like a soft kick or something. But I think the biggest thing is, I think I have two main notes. The clap snare, 8-bit Nintendo clap offbeat thing is distracting, and I don't think it's adding anything. It could work if it was a lot quieter, or maybe if it was just like a side stick sample or something like that. And then the other thing is the like you gotta get something on there. You gotta make her a little louder, you know, even just a straight up limp. You know, something. I would begin working on figuring out how to get your tracks mastered. Even just like, this doesn't need to be Skrillex level of loudness, but it's unnecessarily quiet. It's not, you're not like trying to achieve dynamics for creative reasons. It just kind of sounds like there's really no reason for it to be this quiet, right? Especially, there's lots of tools. I prefer Ozone because I basically do EQ, multiband compression, limiter, and it's all in one. It's easy. I know how to use it. It gives you good visual feedback as to what's happening with the track. But that's not to say that you can't use something like, I don't know, like if you're using FL Studio, you could use Maximus. But yeah, I would say that's what I got to say. Expander. Yeah, we need more compression, or we need more dynamics, don't we? But it's a good job. You're doing great. I mean, like, if you think about the chord, the thing that I like about chord is, I think he or she has been submitting for, I don't know, a year and a half. And like a year and a half ago, it still sounded like you could still tell that this is a chord track, but it was super basic. And this is just, I like that there's now more than 3 tracks in the song. There's melodies, but it still maintains the chord vibe. So good job. Keep going. And I saw somebody mention that you probably need to do some peak controls in the mix before the master. And for sure, I mean, like, you know, there's some strange transients here and there. Having a bit of even a wave shaper on some of these just to lop off those real sharp spikes will allow your master to have a less hard time, we'll say, an easier time, some may say. But controlling the dynamics before it hits the master is typically a good idea, because then you're not asking one tool to do all of the work. That's one of the reasons why I use the multiband compressor before the limiter, is because I can then go, if you can fix it in the mix, perfect. But still, at a certain point, you got to say the mix is good and you send it into the master bus. You still kind of grab, you know, the lower frequencies. You can control their dynamics on their own. And the same goes for each of the 4 frequencies. And then that way your master limiter has a much it's almost like a preconditioned signal before it hits the limiter. Anyway, cool. That's what I think. Good job. Let's move on. Matrix FR Does It Aiden Dodge remix. Here we go. I deleted it. I hit undo. I hit play. Yeah, let me make sure I'm not doing... Well, no, I'm not. I can tell by the... This is very loud. Are there any FWLR Discord mods here I could DM? I mean, I'm a FWLR Discord mod. You can DM me. It's too loud. All right, it's very overcompressed. Let's turn it down a bit. I just woke up in a See, like, I think the loudness is appropriate during the drop, but leading up to the drop, it's not so much. It's excessively loud. There's no reason to have this, like, whoa, like it hurt my ears a bit. I think it's more appropriate. Like, your drop isn't far off in terms of loudness, but like, you don't need the stuff before the drop to be that loud. And I don't think the vocals are being sidechained. I'd try sidechaining them, or if they are sidechained, I'd sidechain them more, because where they're not sidechained to the track, so they kind of feel like they're sitting on top of the mix. You've got like this extremely loud mix, and then the vocals are just being like unaffected by the kick and snare. And I think that kind of psychologically makes me think that the drums aren't that powerful, because the vocals can just exist without being affected by them, right? So I would probably sidechain them. And vocal repetition, bit uninspired. Yeah. Yeah, it could be like, you know, like switch it up a bit, make it a bit more interesting. There is something to be said about like a super repetitive thing for at least a small period of time. But if it keeps just kind of doing that like quarter note or eighth note or whatever note repetition, I think it would get old pretty quick. And I still think that, like, I think it's still over compressed, because you can kind of hear the master bus like fighting for its life, and like some of the wubs, that harsh kind of 3,000 to 5,000 hertz range is really poking out anytime it can, right? So yeah, I still think overall it's a bit compressed. It's a bit over compressed. Watching my moves since day one. My brothers worrying if they gon' see the sun. Yeah, again, this is like too loud. Like it's hurting me a bit. Especially the vocals, the high frequencies are very loud, and then the crash cymbal comes in, and you can hear the crash cymbal working with the limiter. It's like so yeah, just chill out on the being so loud, I think.
said something so to be true. All you do now with these mushrooms, do they really love you?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. It's just a bit much. So yeah, chill out a little on the parts that aren't the drops, and even maybe a bit on the parts that are the drops. Okay, let's move on. Why did it ask me that? I don't know. Let's check out Dark Forge, Cheeky Whip. Excuse the intro. Okay. This is really good. I like this a lot. It's reminding me a lot of Rolex Sweep, and I don't know if I can find it. It's by Skepta, but it's a remix. Vanilla, yeah! Punch in the face in my front door. No, it's not this one. Shit, it's a different remix. Hold on. It would be a good... It's old. It's like 2006. But it would be a good... Sweep remix. It would be a good reference, I think. It's not the Vandalism remix. I don't think it was a Vandalism remix. Maybe it was the Vandalism remix. Wait, it is the Vandalism remix. Is that not what we were just... Oh, you can't listen to it on Spotify.
Count with me. Count with me. Count with me. Do the roll glass of champagne for you. Free. Now do the Rolex sweep. 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 Count with me. Count with me.
I think what we can take away from Skepta in this track is that you need to decide what this song is about. And if it's about being cheeky, then you need to come up with some lyrics, or you need to come up with some idea or concept. And it could be cheeky, but it could be like cheeky like a butt. You know, like butt cheeks, cheeky or something. I don't know. You need to figure out what the song is about, and then that will inform you on how to proceed. Because you have, I mean, like, yeah, it's not like super mixed or super mastered or whatever, but like it's super good. And if you had an idea or a concept that told a story, at least even to you, then you don't really need a whole lot more. You need a hook of some sort. It could even just be a one-liner, you know, like "you're so cheeky" or whatever. I don't know. Super good. I don't know. I think that's what you're missing. You have all of the elements technically, I think, that you need. Now you need the concept, and the thing, like, if you listen to that Rolex Sweep, which I love that song, it reminds me of like the good old days, the electro house days back in the mid 2000s to 2010 kind of range. It has a bass line and a super basic electro house drum beat. And then it has Skepta talking about his watch. Like, that's all it is. That's all it needs. Should I completely have it more rocking out? Well, I think it's too early to make that call, because again, you need the idea. there's a vague idea, a cloud of ideas that has formed here, and you need it to precipitate and to create a rainstorm of a specific type. I don't know what the fuck that means, but you know what I mean. No, you don't. I don't know. Maybe you do. You need to come up with an idea. Don't worry about the intro. Come up with an idea. Put in some sort of hooky thing that portrays the concept of the song, and that will guide you through to excellence and prosperity and all the other good stuff. That's what I think. I think, yeah, I could tell you some technical stuff about, it's a little dull. It's a little unmastered. Like, you already know all those things. I don't need to tell you about the technical shit. You need to decide on what the song is about and then make it a song about that thing that the song is about. And then you will win. Okay, that's it. That's good. Keep going. Nimbus. That is a big throwback to like 2017. And I don't know if anybody on here would understand that reference or not. But here we are. Actually, official list got me banned. Could you unban me? My handle is Hammy01. Okay. Let's listen to this song while I do that. This is, I think this is Divert, actually. Here we go. Oh God, I love that so much, but it's not good. The huge delay. I like. So, okay, let's keep going before I form my opinion. First of all, it's 192 kilobits per second, so fix that. This part is dope. Why? This may be AI. That is, you know, I never really considered the possibility that this sounds like somebody's walking me down a staircase to hell, but the staircase is made out of seventh chords. I choose to believe it's not AI. Let's keep going. I mean, there's a lot of cool ideas in here. I think this is by far the best part of the track. I wasn't in love with this first part. It didn't really do anything for me, to be honest. I don't like these massive gaps, but when I got to that part, this is sick. Next time, don't send it as 192 though. Send it as a 320. This part was cool. I like this part, and then I don't know what Suno is. Oh wait, is Suno the I don't know what that is. Anyway, I'm skeptical, I guess. Send it as a 320 and I won't be as skeptical, because I don't think those tools allow you to export anything above that. Anyway, I don't know. Like I said, I'm choosing to believe that it's not AI, but I'm not like 100,000% sure. So that's why I'm kind of sitting here like not knowing what to do. Anyway, assuming it's not AI, I would build your song off of this. And the rest of it's just kind of like, meh. I don't know. This part was kind of cool too, but the first part just, I don't know. It just sounded like I don't know why it would exist. Part was dope. Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, dude. I don't really have anything that productive to say, because I'm a little curious as to the whole AI thing now. I do really like that part though. So yeah, build the song around this, and then use this section over here, this weird section, as like your B section. I don't really know what the point of the rest of it is. It just sounds kind of like. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I choose to believe. It's kind of like a cautious believe, you know what I mean? I don't really require you to prove anything. Okay, that's what I think. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of AI just in general, unless I'm asking Will to look something up for me. Okay, let's move on to chorus, not strong in mastering. Okay. So I think right now you have a really loud sub. The sub is very loud. And then you have a really loud hi-hat. And then the rest of the track is kind of, it's almost like you had like a Sobeys, well, I guess a Sobeys bag. That's not going to really make sense to most people. You had a grocery bag. And on one handle is the sub, and on the other handle is the hi-hat, and you're carrying around the track in the bag itself. It's very scooped, but it's mostly because I think your sub and your hi-hats are very loud, and like the brass and Yeah, the brass hits are like super quiet. Let's just see. I'll see if I can demonstrate this. It's going to be challenging. This is not something I would suggest fixing in the master bus. See, like when I turn ozone off, it's like the sub just takes over. I can't really fix it in the master bus. So turn your sub down, turn your hi-hat down, and get the meat of the track a bit louder. I bet you could fix it with AI. That was a really good comeback. Even here, the boop a doop boop, boop doop boop. That thing is very very quiet. But you could almost imagine that being like the main element of the song. Do do do. Like it should be much louder. I think I would be interested to see what your monitoring situation is. Maybe your headphones or your speakers are lacking in the low and high end, and you're compensating by boosting the low and the high end. In that case, either get some better monitoring equipment or check it on a bunch of different speakers and car sound systems, as many different things as you can to get a good idea of what the actual frequency response is. But see how like pure see how that sub is just like one frequency? It's just like a pure sine wave, and then the track kind of drops off after that. I think that's your biggest problem. And that's not really a mastering thing, You wouldn't really be able to master this effectively with the mix like it is. I mean, you don't have a car with a stereo. My BMW has a stereo. Sony WH-1000. I'm not sure what that is. And I'm not saying that. I mean, they may be perfectly fine. It could just be a mixed choice issue. I was speculating, you could say. But yeah, I mean, if you look over here, I have this, I use this a lot. It's the Blue Cat's Frequency Analyst Pro, and I add a plus 3 dB per octave slope. So that typically, generally speaking, a good sounding mix will have a flat line, because a good sounding mix typically will follow a minus 3 dB per octave slope. So if we take that slope and we shift it 3 dB, now it's flat. And if you look at yours, see how the sub just like sticks out on its own? And then you can also kind of see like this is your hi-hat here, your sub and your hi-hat, and the rest of the track's just kind of chilling. And there's also this like no man's land after the sub. So one thing you could do is take your sub and distort it in some way, add some overdrive or something to it so that it spills some harmonics. It gives you 2 times the fundamental 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever kind of distortion you use, either even or odd harmonics, blah, blah, blah. Basically, if you took like this, how can I demonstrate this? Okay, let's do it this way. So let's take, for example, I'll take this 3 oscillator. I'll just play a note. Okay, it's F sharp, same note as yours. So if we take that and it's going to... For this style of music, I would start with a sine wave and I would distort it into a square, I think. So let's take a sine wave. See how pure it is? See, it's mostly just this is just like artifacts of like it being digital, right? So if I play that, but I now add, I'm going to play that same note, but I'm going to add a wave shaper and I'm going to distort it, and you'll see the harmonics start to spill over. See what I mean? So that's how I would probably fill in that no man's land between your sub and the rest of the track. Yeah, feedback's still open. You just got to go to the Discord server. That the link is on the bottom. So yeah, I would try that, but it's more than that. I think like I think you've got kind of like a track, and then you've got like the drums, and they're not really playing well with each other. So distorting your sub may help, but it's not going to solve the whole problem. You know, you got to check out, I have a video on my on my website, on my YouTube called Sub Separation. I don't remember what it's actually called, but if you go to my YouTube channel, there's a video specifically explaining how to deal with how to connect the sub and the non-sub together. Yeah. And I agree, misses a catchy loop on top. Yeah, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, like that doesn't necessarily, the brass thing doesn't necessarily carry it in a melody way. So yeah, maybe it almost feels like it should have vocals or something, but for the most part, I would try to get the instrumental sounding right first. And I hope that helps. Sorry, I'm a bit scatterbrained. Let's move on. Trip to the Jungle. I like the sound of that. Here we go. Yes, you need to throw something I can download in the Discord channel. Okay, this is cool. I feel like during this part, the track is feeling kind of narrow, and it's not super narrow, but you've got these dumb, like you've got these chord stabs, but they're super reverbed out. I wonder what it would sound like if they weren't so reverbed out. You could leave them as is and add another layer or something, but I almost want that jum, that thing to be more like solid in the mix, to add some width, because that bass line going fucking ham wild in the middle, there's a lot of stuff in the center, and on the side, I think the sides, that's where those sounds would usually live. That kind of those chord stabs would live on the sides, and let the groovy bass do its thing in the middle. the next thing is like this type of music needs to be loud, and that doesn't really sound mastered. Or if it is, it's not. There's way too much headroom. I mean, I don't think it is because like look at the you could ride those waves on a surfboard. So I would probably figure out how to get this style of music loud without going overboard, but. Oh my God, hold on. I had the mastering kind of fucking with it a bit. Sorry. Let me set That's way better. Yeah, I was going to say the bass seems a little light, but it was because I pulled 6 dB out of it. It's amazing what happens when you don't mess up the master chain. I kind of want there to be like some super cheesy pop vocal during these parts to really set the contrast off, because it's very cool. The sound design's really unique. I think it's a dope track. I think the mastering, and I apologize for keeping my previous master chain on and sucking all of the bass out of it for the first half. But yeah, I think the mastering is what you should focus on. Try to figure out how to get this stuff loud, because this is the type of stuff that needs to be bumping. And then imagine like a female pop vocal here, and then it like devolves into But yeah, I mean, like I did a real basic master on it, and it sounds quite a bit better to me. So I think you're on the right track. It's very cool. It's a very unique sound. It definitely sounds like I'm going through the jungle. I would maybe, I mean, if you're gonna call it that, I'd probably put like an Amen beat break somewhere in it, even just as a fill, as like a little nod to like the jungle world. But yeah, very cool. All right, let's move on. Verbatim, I don't know, maybe Yeah Well Whip. I feel like we got this one last time. Let's see what's different. this is cool. I think you've shortened the arrangement. You got to the point a little quicker, which I think is good. With this one, you can really tell. You've got like your sub bass is very loud, and then the rest of the track is below it. So if I go in and I do this, whoops, not that. I meant to type in -4. So I just pulled out 6 dB of sub range, right? I think more like -4. -4 sounds better to me. I think it sounds quieter than it should because the sub is so loud that it's limiting how much the limiter can limit. Which is why I'm pulling the sub range down so that I can try to crunch the rest together harder. I also think that the drums, I don't know if I recommended this last time, but the drums, I think you should send them into a bus and distort them a bit or something, because you can tell like the kick and the snare, when they happen, the track volume dips. You know? You've got this really big side chain, but the drums aren't filling up the side chain enough for it to sound like it's justified. Like you've got I like the pumping feeling of the side chain, but you can really tell that you've got the shape of the kick or the snare comes down. It's not to say that it needs to be a perfectly flat sausage or anything, but I think that that's really holding you back, is that especially the snare. Let me just try. What's the tempo? Like 100 or something? Okay, 100. Okay, cool. Let's just see. I don't know. It's probably not going to work because there's just a lot of... there's not a lot of room to work here. But let's do... What am I after? Drum damage, right? Try this one. Why not? Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to like slam in some snares. And it's going to be real dirty. It's not going to be great. But just to give you an idea. You know what I mean? Like it has more presence. It fills up the gap in the side chain a little bit better. So I'd probably, however you want to do that, I'm not saying you put another snare in there. You could just maybe compress the snare, distort it a bit, turn it up. There's different ways of doing it, but I feel like your sub is too loud and your drums are too quiet. I would love to submit any clickable links. No, you got to submit like a file that I can grab off of the Discords. Okay, so this section, this breakdown section, we got big drop in energy, a little bit of a build, and then a big drop in energy again. And that's a little confusing to me. It's like you kind of like, it was like a bait and switch. You're like, hey, we're gonna get there, and then you're like, no, you're not. We gotta back up. We gotta go back for some reason. It's like you forgot like your hat or something at home, and you have to go back and get it. Now we're on the way to the party. You know, we thought we were on the way to the party. We got almost all the way there, and you forgot your fucking hat, so you had to turn around and go back. Let me check this too. Let's see what this section is really cool. Let me try it with the added snare. I also think that the vocals are maybe mixed a bit loud. When they come in, they seem like they're taking over. They seem like they push the rest of the mix down for their moment, and then the mix comes back up. So I think the vocals might be mixed a little aggressively. But if you could, and also your top drums are quite quiet. Like I kind of hear them dingle dangling a little bit, but not really very present in the mix. But if you just straight up look at this audio waveform, you're giving up a lot of volume, overall perceived volume and power because of this empty space here, right? It's such a aggressive sidechain. And it's not necessarily that the sidechain is wrong. It's that there's not really enough beef or meat on the drums that go in those spots to fill it out a bit. So I don't know. I hope that helps. Let's move on. This one's called Monster I've Become. So, yes, verbatim. I think that's I would start there, and I'd turn your sub down so that your master could come up. If you bring your sub down, everything else can come up, and then the sub is still going to be the same volume because everything came up, including the sub that you turned down. Okay, so with this one, the vocal has this like. Sorry, I'm realizing now that I did the thing again. That I always do. So the vocal has like this very prominent frequency. Yeah, it's the nasally frequency. It's kind of it's almost like the vocal doesn't sound like it's quite loud enough, but that one frequency range is loud enough. So I wouldn't recommend just blindly turning the vocal up. I think melody wise, sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place. I find the melody, when it got to this part here, the melody felt a lot better. It seemed to do a bit more stuff. The melody in the verse kind of feels a bit stagnant, like it's leaning on the same notes too much. Bring down the nasal frequency, bring up the vocal. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That's probably what I would try to do. Oh, here we go. We can use this little section. Yeah, it's right here. It's like this kind of frequency that's bothering me, 500 hertz-ish. I think that's kind of the problem frequency. Anyway, when the vocal gets here, okay, here's another thing. The instrumental just kind of feels like it's okay, let me think about this. Every instrument kind of sounds like it's doing a solo the whole time. So like every instrument's just kind of like doing their own thing. If this was they're in the same key, they're following the same chord progression, but it's busy. I think that might be what's stepping on the vocals a bit as well. Like if it was me and this was the verse, I'd probably strip it down to drums, bass, vocals to start off, and then start bringing the stuff in. But like the piano maybe could just play chords instead of like constantly noodling around playing notes and stuff. I find that it's a bit distracting. It's like instead of seeing like 5 or 6 dancers on stage doing a choreographed dance, they're all just kind of doing their own dance, and it's to the beat and it's correct timing, but they're doing their own thing. They're not playing with each other as much, right? So that I think is going, if you stripped it down quite a bit, you would probably find that your vocals would be much more intelligible. Like you'd be able to understand what you're saying a lot more. You could probably it would be much easier to figure out that frequency range and get the level set right, playing with each other. Yes, Will. Good job. That's a funny joke. But yeah, I would strip it down because there's like unnecessarily large amounts of stuff happening. The bass is quite loud as well. And the drums feel flat. They feel very just like down the center. I don't think there's much width to them. Yeah, there's no width to the drums or the vocals whatsoever. That's interesting. This is just the side channel, and the drums nor the vocals are coming through at all. Oh, that's gonna make a big difference. If you can push some of those drums out and make them a bit more wide and stuff. I'm not saying like necessarily the kick or the snare, but like a lot of your other drums and stuff. That could be what's crowding the vocals too. The vocals are down the center, but a lot of the stuff is down the center, you know? Yeah, like these sections, I think they'd be better if they were just mostly drum, bass, and vocals. All like the phaser stuff in the background and the piano layers and like the strings and that stuff. I don't think that's working for you. I think it's working against you. It kind of reminds me of like what's that MGMT song? You know, the one, Kids, maybe. So see, in this section, there's a bunch of stuff, right? But listen when it goes to the vocal. See, like it strips down because the vocals are now the main element, right? So I would probably maybe use that track as a reference if you like it, and get some inspiration from how they mix, how they arrange, and how they present the elements in the song. Each individual element in your song isn't bad, but it all on top of each other at the same time it's just a bit much to digest. And yeah, the stereo, you got to figure out how to get, I have a video on my website, or I keep saying website. I have a video on my YouTube called Mixing in 3 Dimensions. I think that would be a good watch for you because I do not think that you are using the stereo field nearly enough. And I think that that's causing a lot of your elements to just feel like they're on top of each other because you're losing a whole dimension to your mix, right? It's like during this section, if I solo the side channel, it almost sounds like it's mostly just like some reverb and stuff coming. Or like the piano and the phasery stringy thing. So pushing it out, and I don't mean panning like, you know, making things go around or all the way left or right or whatever, but just pushing things into the stereo field a little bit so that you're more effectively managing the space you have to work with. Let's listen to the last bit. Musically, it's cool. I just think, yeah, I think the biggest thing is the nasaliness of the vocal, I think, should be addressed. And then stereo, pushing it out into 3 dimensions and giving stuff their own space to live in, so they're not as conflicting. You have all your drums down the center, you have all your vocals down the center, so now they're sharing that center area. Where if you had your toms spread out, maybe your hi-hat, maybe the snare had a bit of room reverb that pushed it out into the sides. Now all of a sudden, each element has a bit more of its own space to exist in. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Halftime Shizzle by, I think this is a Twistex submission. Haven't had a Twistex submission in a very long time. Let's have a listen. Okay, here we go.
I'm just trying to keep it going through the morning. I don't care. Never back down, never humble. Stand your ground when the mosh pit rumbles. Never back down, never humble. Stand your ground when the mosh pit rumbles.
Okay, so this is dope. I think the da 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 thing is cool, but it needs a layer that, like, you have this really bright, airy sound, and you have the sub, but you don't have like the middle, like the meat, you know. And I think that's what it's missing. It doesn't have that much. Every time it goes, it's like tickling my ears instead of like slapping me around.
Never back down, never humble. Stand your ground when the mosh pit rumbles.
What is this one? 40, 150, 100 and something. Oh, I bet you I can do this. Nope. That looks like a kick drum. Should have known. Like, I like the sound of that. I like the sound of it, but it's not. It needs more grit, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just gonna grab like a random bass sound from my random bass sounds folder here that you have probably contributed to over the years. I don't know. What's this sound like? Well, it's gonna have to be loud to. This is gonna be challenging. Maybe. Like, not. It doesn't even. It's not as nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Give it a little side chain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that's the right sound, but that sound gives it a bit more impact each time. Some of these things I've made over the years. That's not the right tempo. This is the right tempo. That's not a knife. Nah, whatever. Yeah, that's my main thought so far. It's just that the isn't hitting me hard enough. Oh, right. I turned it down. Now I'm going to have to turn that down. I have a lot of things open. Yeah, I mean this is dope, dude. I think you have some good ideas here. Besides the technical thing of adding a little bit more, I think it could use some variety. You know, it's kind of like it's playing the same note a whole lot. There are some moments where you break away and you do some different notes, and those are nice. You know, it's not to say that you can't rock the tonic for a while, especially in this style of music, but getting away from it every once in a while, giving us a break from like that da 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 is probably a good move. But it's very cool. What else?
Trying to keep it going through the morning.
I really like this sound. I wish that it was used more. I would probably try to like include that sound in the main phrase of things a bit more, because that's a really cool sound, and you could use it to do like a call and response. But yeah, I think it's dope, dude. Thank you for sending. Cool. MP3 version. This is a great title. Here we go. Sorry, I keep clicking the thing. I'm trying to make sure that... Okay, we're good. Let's keep going.
Yo, det er nemt at være bedst, når ens liv er en money glitch. Hvad så bitch, fordi alle typerne, der hører det så.
What language is this? I know the word bitch, but I don't know the other words.
Der hører det så hvis skør der være naturinteresseret. Tror sgu heller, jeg vil joine mig selv bag ved klaveret. Min bror har brug for luft, men jeg snakker ikke B&B. De snakker rygter, og de springer ligesom TNT. Vi har altid været under.
Did you make the track and the vocals, or just one, or just the other? Basically, my thoughts right now is that the vocals feel on top of the mix. Okay, everything, cool. So...
Og de springer ligesom TNT. Vi har altid været under, bare ude af syn. Man må kæmpe for at komme ud af byen. Aldrig været under dyn. Vi tramper på jer som om I var killinger. Alle fucking ens, tag som om at I var tvillinger. Jo, det skør, der kræver opmærksomhed. Bro, I går i gym, 17 år, ingen stolthed. Jeg har salsa fyldt med dym. Bro, vi første sæt.
So a few things. I can see, I heard it, but then I went and looked. The track is very mono, you know. There's not a whole lot in terms of stereo image, except you've got some like zips and zaps and like ear candy stuff that's going side to side. But like the main stage, the chords and stuff, they're not really pushed out into the side channels very much.
Yo, det er nemt at være bedst, når ens liv er en money glitch. Hvad så bitch, fordi alle typerne, der hører det så.
And that might help the vocals feel more like they're sitting in the mix, because right now the vocals are dead mono and the track is quite mono. Besides, if you ignore all the little things that are zipping around side to side, the main parts of the track are down the center. So when you have some stereo delay, but I panned them all the way and made some stereo delay, but I don't know how to make it more wide then. I don't know what you mean by pan them all the way, because if I go like this, I'm soloing just the stereo channels, just the left and right, and I'm getting rid of everything that's in the middle. So the vocals are dead mono. Like there's like, except right here. That yo has like some reverb or something that goes. If you've doubled the vocals and panned them hard left and hard right, you've just doubled the volume, but they're still center. The thing that makes things, and I'm not saying that's what you did, but that sounds like maybe what you did based on what you said. What I would do is I would keep the vocals in the center. You can add a little bit of subtle delay or reverb, very quiet, just little subtle bits. It's more the track that I'm concerned about. The vocals being dead mono doesn't bother me that much. It's the fact that the vocals are dead mono and the track is dead mono. So now you've piled everything up. If you think about like left to right, everything is piled in this tiny little column straight up and down. And that's what makes it not feel, the vocals don't feel like they're in the mix, because the mix normally would be like a pool of liquid and the vocals will be in it. But right now you've just got like a line of everything, right? So like sorry, I'm not talking to the mic anymore. So the instrumental is more what I'm concerned about. You could do all kinds of things like load up. I don't know what you're using, but like if you're using FL, you could load up Flex and the factory thing that loads up. Let's see what key you're in first. Let me just. So you're in C. So let's just go back here for a sec. It's not. It's in C. That's C. That's C minor. Anyway, so if we go back and we just go here. See how... I'm not suggesting you use this patch, but I'm going to use it as an example. Watch what happens to the stereo image when I play. I'll just play.
Stolthed. Jeg har sat sig fyldt med gym. Når vi første sæt, vi er el. Tænker aldrig siger vel for meget magt til vi kan tælle. Ey, min bror jeg hater på dem non-stop. Første sæt er from the top, der ved de om at have en op. Snitch. Ey, ey, ja, ey, ey.
So do you see... Sorry, I'm waiting for my side chaining to turn off. There we go. So see how much wider and how now the vocals feel like they're just in the track, like the track is surrounding them and it's a crowd and not a line. That's kind of what I think you should be going for. This is pretty wild, actually, to look at. But yeah, if I just play like straight up, it's probably gonna need more than this, but it would help. You have some elements in there that I don't really know why they're mono. Like they sound like they're atmospheric, but they don't sound like they should be mono. But anyway, even just adding. Sorry, I have to select the synth. I'm a little rusty. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to play that again. So I'm going to let like one bar of the verse go, and then I'm going to play it, and you'll feel the vocals kind of now all of a sudden, oh, they're in the mix.
Yo, det er nemt at være bedst, når ens liv er en money glitch. Hvad så bitch? Fordi alle typerne, der hører det, så vi snitch. Skør dig, hvad natur er interesseret. Tror sgu heller, jeg vil joine mig selv bag ved klaveret. Min bror har brug for luft, men jeg snakker ikke B&B. De snakker rygter, og de springer ligesom TMT. Vi har altid været under bare ud.
So yeah, that's what I think you should do. I think you should figure out how to, it sounds to me like you've got a good musical head on your shoulders. The flow sounds good. I don't understand a fucking single word, but that's because I'm English. But it still sounds cool. In terms of what you should work on, if I were you, I would figure out, I do a bunch of research on how to properly utilize the stereo field, because there's lots of improper ways to utilize the stereo field. There's stereoizing, you know, there's all kinds of stuff you can do that's kind of like a shortcut or an easy quick fix to make things sound more stereo. Don't do that shit. Figure out how to become the master of the stereo field and bend the sounds to your will. I want that thing to sound like it's around me. I want that thing to sound kind of narrow, but have some width to it when you let off and the reverb fills in. Like there's all kinds of techniques to control how wide something sounds. So I would do some research because I think that's going to go a long way. We're going to keep listening.
Fest i min Air Max, hverdag i min Noctas. Kan ikke snak, for I stinker som en sportstask. Fylder I kan ingen plads, spiser ligesom Flemming-tax. Tone af en retning, noget ikke at blink. Ligesom revisoren tæller jeg kun penge. Uret tigger som en hjemløs, det er en masse ting. Pas på, I bliver blændet af min bling bling.
I know what bling bling means. Those are some words I know.
Jeg er kølig som et skab, spær mig på jer som en val. Jeg drømmer som en kage, jeg kunne aldrig se tilbage. Mit navn er Karl, jeg er hård som en sten, kunne aldrig spille smart. Bror ringer, jeg er der i en far. Kun facts, jeg taler, I er rotter som haler. I som 4 ben taber den, når jeg...
So now there's some weirdness going on with it being too wide. You can see it. The kick and the snare feel artificially wide, and you can see it in that scope.
Du er så meget sne, kan slet ikke se. Folk de er snif nu, burde gå med blæ. Jeg havde den mod i går, havde den mod i storm. Han er sår, prikker til bør.
And that's one, I don't know what you've done to make it wide like that, but that sounds to me like a cheap widening technique. It feels weird. It feels like I'm behind the speakers or something, right? And I don't think that the kick and the snare are really what you want to be super wide. It doesn't mean you can't have some width to both of those things, but that to me sounds artificially wide.
Mod i går, havde den mod i storm. Jeg kører en mand over, nu ligger han og sår. Prikker til bør.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the dirty technique. That's if it seems too easy that you can just click a thing and all of a sudden it's wide, it's probably dirty. And hey, if you love the way it sounds, you go, girl. But I'm telling you that to me it doesn't sound that great. It sounds like it wasn't wide and then somebody clicked a couple things and now it's wide. As opposed to like maybe having a sample of a kick drum that was recorded with a stereo mic or some room reverb or something on a sample, you know, get a little more creative and a little more control. And because do you fully understand what's happening when you click that button and slide that slider up? Maybe, maybe not. But if you loaded up a sample that you knew was recorded in stereo, or the sample sounds nice and wide for some reason, it doesn't sound weird, now all of a sudden you have more control over it. Anyway, that's what I think. I hope that helps. Keep going. Let's check out amplitude. All right. Let's make sure I'm not fucking shit up here. Okay. Okay, so this is very, very cool, and this might seem like a strange reference, but you should check out the soundtrack for the movie K-Pax. I think you would dig it. It's old, it doesn't have cool sound design, but I think you would really like the soundtrack to K-Pax. K-PAX. Here we go. 2001. Right? So don't expect any crazy wubs or anything, but like... It's sick. I love this movie. And the other thing is the soundtrack to the movie Monster. I think I pulled that up last stream, actually. I don't know if it's on. Oh, it's by BT. Nah, I don't think it's on. Whatever. Anyway, so what I think so far is that it's sounding very cool, but I kind of feel like I'm waiting for something, and I'm not sure if it's going to happen because I mean we're like 2/3 of the way through. Oh, hold on. Okay, that makes sense. Because, like, to me, everything here sounds like really nice and really beautiful, but I'm waiting for like this sort of thing. Like, I'm waiting for that, but it never really happens. So yeah, I mean, if it's like part of a album or something, then that's fine. As a standalone, I feel kind of blue-balled. Like I'm like waiting, and everything is so nice, and it feels like we're approaching something, and then the song ends. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have any other feedback besides that. Everything else sounds dope. Yeah, that's all I got. It sounds dope, dude. Honestly, keep sending stuff in. Oh, wait. I think that was the last song. Well, that fucking snuck up on me. Okay, cool. Great job, everybody. You all killed it this week. Wow, look at my fancy lens. It's blurring out the background because of the f-stop or something. And that's called photography, and I'm a photographer. All right, I love you very much. I will see you next week, and until then, keep going and keep writing and keep being awesome. That sounded so cool. What a cool outro. Okay, bye.